Still talking about Olympics, we have the quarterfinalists in the women's event of the 2024 Olympic Games. Who? Nigeria, of course, the Super Falcons of Nigeria. They arrived in Bordeaux, the French city, on Thursday night as the countdown begins for their first outing of the Women's Olympic Football Tournament since 16 years when they last made their appearance. But I've got with me in the studio right now, Oladuni Bankole. He's going to join me in the conversation for the rest of the show. Thank you, Oladuni, for joining me on In the Game today.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here once again.
Let's rock and roll, Oladuni. And I've just begun there with the Super Falcons of Nigeria arriving there in France. There, Bordeaux, where they have to face Brazil, their first game on the 25th of July for the Paris Olympic Games. Nigeria have not been there since how many years? 16 years. And en route to the opener, they had a friendly against Canada. Now, with the way Nigeria played against Canada, are you confident they will beat former world champions, Brazil? They have three world champions. They have the current one. They have the ones who have been before, Nadeshiko, the Japanese ladies, and they have Brazil, who have also been before a world champion, and Spain, who are the current world champions. With a friendly played against Canada, are you hopeful?
Well, it's not about just defeating Brazil. Like you said earlier, we were unfortunate to find ourselves in a group of death. A group that has Japan, Spain, and Brazil. You look at what the Spaniards did at the World Cup, in which Nigeria also participated. I think from our display at the World Cup, I think we can have a fair good amount of confidence heading into the Olympics. We look at our players are also doing decently well for themselves in their respective club sides in the United States and also all across Europe. So yes, the opponents are quite difficult. The opponents, there's a large gap between our Super Falcons.
Gap of experience, yes, I would say.
Not just experience. I also think in terms of ability, in terms of preparations. I mean, the common factors between these three teams.
So you mean we did not prepare well going into Seville there?
The thing is, I don't even think we can prepare well. We don't have.
Why did you say so?
In terms of comparison to these three teams have a striving league for their women football. Spain, the Spanish La Liga for female is one of the best in Europe. Brazil also have one of the best infrastructures and laid out league for their female football. Same thing can be said, for the Japanese. Like you said, they were champions in 2018, defeating United States. And you look at all of these things, no matter the amount of preparation, we just don't have the tools, we don't have the facilities.
So are you saying we're just going there to count numbers?
No, we are not going.
Olympics.
People make it seem like participation has to be a bad thing. If you go there to participate, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You don't necessarily have to win.
No, not for 9-time African champions, because you know that two representatives,
we can be African
Zambia
champions.
will be there. And if they make a mark ahead of a 9-time African champions, giants in the women's football.
I can tell you for the fact that it doesn't matter. It doesn't. We are not at the level at which we think we are. We tend to over-exaggerate our abilities. We tend to over-exaggerate our standings in terms of in female football, even in Africa.
I think Nigeria has got a lot.
In Africa, the gap has been closed significantly. You look at the likes of Morocco. You look at the likes of South Africa. We are not where we used to
even
be.
Zambia.
In terms of in recent years we have stagnated in our progress in female football. We used to be the very best in Africa, and even when we were the very best in Africa, on the world platform, there was still a significant gap between us and the likes of United States, the likes of Japan, the likes of Brazil, and other European countries. So I think it's the same problem Nigeria is having, the same problem the likes of Sweden, Norway are having in Europe. Because these guys, the Scandinavian countries, were the guys who were the top dogs in female football earlier, but somehow other countries have caught up with them and also surpassed them. I think we're also having that same problem. So if we participate at the Olympics, it is not about results, it's not about winning. I think it's just a learning curve for us. We have a long way to go.
I don't think Nigerian female football lovers are in tune with you. They want them to go make a mark.
No.
But we don't have to.
How can you make a mark against Spain? How can you make a mark against Brazil? How can you make a mark against Japan? We have to be realistic in our set goals.
All right, let's talk about if the Super Falcons may just go there to participate, according to you, and it'll be fine. I don't think the D Tigers will just settle with just going to participate at the Paris Olympic Games. They're Afrobasket champions back-to-back and are doing wonderfully well with their formidable squad, having to return the likes of their powerful guard, Edzine Kalu. So today they have to play a friendly in preparation for the Paris Olympic Games because they are the only African representative from the women's basketball event. So the D Tigers stepping up preparation. They've been in camp in Germany, Saarbrucken to be precise, and Coach Wakama is also not taking chances. She's saying, Australia, France, Canada, we are coming for you.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between the Super Falcons and the D-Tigers is the level of competition. I mean, you look at Australia, you look at Canada, you look at France. Maybe aside from France, these are not basketball countries. You know, the D-Tigers also in recent years have had their own fair share of embarrassment on world level. You know, it didn't happen overnight. We've gone to events and we've participated. We've dominated Africa in a long time, and we've gone to the Olympic Games, and we've been well beaten. But we have grown to a stage where we can compete with the likes of Australia.
Do you have that confidence in Coach Wakama? After that Afrobasket, a lot of people, she gained love from Nigerians. But this is the Olympics. It's a different ball game. It is not the same African teams you played at the Afrobasket. Now, you will be seeing here, Canada named a formidable squad going into the Paris Olympics game. And for one who is making her first appearance there, are you confident in Coach Wakama's tactics?
Absolutely. I mean, you've talked about the African Games that we won. You look at how she ensured that she implemented her changes, how the team was shaped. It was something that was refreshing to see, because for the first time in a long time, it felt like we had the input of a coach on our female basketball, and that's exactly what I would also be expecting at the Olympics. I don't think it's been our first time should dampen our expectations of her. I think she's a brilliant mind, and
we would see that in that international friendly today. Oladuni, I'm waiting. They must go by a very large margin against Georgia. Germany, I beg your pardon. They get to face Germany in an international friendly today ahead of the Paris Olympic Games. Good one for them. I think they have Serbia also in their lineup before they go over to France. We have the only African representative in the men's basketball team event too, South Sudan. They played a friendly yesterday, and that ended 84-81. It's a good scoreline for a team that is making their first appearance over there. But initial gra-gra, they say, can put you in trouble.
I need you to look at the size of this basketballers coming out from South Sudan. They are some of the tallest men I've seen, in the very
It's not about being tall.
Look,
there are some guys that are not tall.
One thing you need to know
turn out the points.
It's not about being tall, but when you are tall, you have an advantage.
Yeah.
When that height advantage has to come in play. And I think South Sudan in recent years, have also the largest population of tall people. So them having this, progress in basketball shouldn't come as a surprise. I mean, even in the NBA draft, there are a couple of South Sudanese guys who are based in the United States who entered the draft.
But do you think they should relish this win?
Absolutely.
For your first game?
It is. I mean, this is something to bank on. It's something
sometimes
to work
what you do in friendly do not turn out to be what you see.
But the confidence you gain in friendly is also important heading towards a major competition.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. So I think South Sudan their first ever competition at the Olympics. I hope that they put out a good showing. Like I said, for the Super Falcons also, it's not about winning. It's about relishing the participation. All
right, so let's see if they can. But the Olympic Village is open, and the first athletes who have arrived there, the Ukrainians, they will arrive at the Olympic Village on July 19. That's today. Today, of course, the delegation received rooms in the Olympic Village in Paris, where the Ukrainian national team would stay. The Ukrainian delegation has already accepted the rooms where the team will leave, which will be shared with teams from Canada, Germany, and Ireland. So there are 4 nations in that particular session in the Olympic Village. Beautiful. Hey, Olympic is here. The Olympics is here, Laduni. It sounded like we're counting down. It's coming. It's here already. The Olympic Village is already bubbling. Athletes coming in. Brazil did come in. As of yesterday, we have Ukraine coming in today. So, Olympic Village, a beautiful place.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the euphoria that you get, when it comes to the Olympics, the Olympic Village, where athletes tend to meet each other, competitors stay close to each other. There's this team bonding and opponents bonding, when it comes to the Olympic Village. And from Ukraine, a country who has been unfortunate to go through a lot of terrible events in the last couple of years, I think this is going to also be refreshing for these athletes. These athletes have seen some of the worst side of humanity, it's also going to be nice for them to see the opposite side, which is also the good side of humanity at the Olympic Games. So I think it's one of the things that we look forward to for the Olympics. It brings the world together.
And I know that we would have some refugee representatives there. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, regardless of your politics, regardless of your situation, regardless of where you stand in terms of all of this, other factors going on in the world. Sport is a unifying factor, and there's no.
But on the other hand, there's some clackdown on Russian athletes who will be represented here as neutrals. They will not play their anthems, emblems, or show their national flag. I
really don't support that, but I understand where.
So do you think Ukraine at this Olympic Games they're playing a pity card?
I don't think so. They are actual victims. You cannot say a victim is playing a pity card. It is normal. It is normal for victims to garner sympathy from people. So do not. We are making it sound like they are playing a different game from what we are expecting. This is a country that has been invaded. This is a country that have seen its men and women lose their lives, to war. So it is not about them playing a victim card. This is just natural for people to have sympathies for victims, and they are victims.
All right, I'm hoping that it's going to be a beautiful celebration and opening ceremony on the 26th. River Seine, we're going to watch out for that. Boats, over a dozen of boats will be on that river, and they would have selected members of different continents on that boat go under that River Seine over there, and that's what we would see. We had seen that it's going to be the first ever to be done, not on track. Opening ceremony, not on track, not the usual parade, but boats.
Well, it's like I said, it's an Olympic tournament of refreshing ideas. You look at Paris, like you said in your intro, the capital city of love, and with love comes innovation, and with innovation comes things.
Love comes innovation. Yes. I don't think it plays in reality.
When you're in love, you tend to come up with new ideas, to ensure that.
I know you've been in love before.
We're not talking about me. We're talking about Paris. So, so you look at that idea, and
but they've been able to step up security. I noticed even after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, we heard that they had to step up security around Paris.
Yeah, Paris has also been a very hotbed for terrorists. I mean, they had this issue with the Muslim Brotherhood, who has been ravaging France in a very long time. So it is just normal for them to step up. I don't think it is exactly related, to the assassination attempt of a presidential candidate in USA. It has nothing to do with the country in Europe. I think it's just down to the terrorist scare that they also have in Paris. But I mean, with big tournaments like this, also have to come with huge level of security. So it's understandable. I hope we don't get to see any unfortunate events at the Olympics.
All right, let's talk about transfers right now. I've got two players from the national teams, the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Tony Payne, yes, the announcement came in today. Everton have completed that signing of the Nigerian international. But for Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen, it's still a bit of club-to-club agreement, still holding that transfer deal for Victor Osimhen to move away from Napoli down to Paris Saint-Germain. Let's talk about Payne in a few seconds and have to weigh in on Victor Osimhen and the situation on ground.
Yeah, for Tony Payne, I think the English Premier League, like I said earlier, also has to be one of the most exciting league when it comes to female football. But my only issue is when you take out the likes of Chelsea and Manchester City, the other teams are not as competitive as you'd expect them to be. I mean, in recent years, Chelsea, City have dominated the league. Also, Arsenal have gone on to dominate the league. But for the first time in a long time, Manchester United won the FA Cup. That was the first time a club that is not Chelsea, Arsenal or Manchester City will go on to win a domestic cup. So there's a large gap between these big guns and the smaller club sides in the league. So I just hope that she enjoys her game at Everton. I don't think she's going there with the expectation to win or compete in the league. But if she gets playing time, it's an advantage for the Super Falcons.
So Oladuni, now you're donning a Chelsea jersey. A lot of conversation.
It's actually a United jersey.
United jersey?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that properly.
From way back. I'm not a United fan. Just I just from way back. Yeah.
Okay, I think I didn't see that properly. I beg your pardon. Now you're donning a United jersey. I know about Mason Greenwood. Did you talk about Victor Osimhen? Did I give you?
Victor Osimhen, no. Victor Osimhen to PSG. I think it's the best move for Victor Osimhen. I was advocating for him to move to Chelsea, but PSG also is not a bad idea. I mean, you look at their two strikers, Goncalo Ramos and Randal Kolo Muani. One of them would definitely have to leave if he's coming. He is guaranteed a league title in France. He has experience playing in France football with Lille Metropole. So I think it's a good idea. The club sides can find an agreement. PSG can definitely afford his salary.
It's a goal for him.
Yeah, it is.
From you, it's a goal for him. All right, you did talk about Manchester United and Mason Greenwood. They've lost him finally now. He says, I'm not going back to Manchester United. And he meant it. He kept to his word.
Yeah, moving to Olympique Marseille, which was surprising for me. I thought Lazio, because he had the backing of Claudio Lotito, that's the president of Lazio, to move to Lazio. But there were a little bit of obstacles with that move to Olympique Marseille. The mayor of Marseille at that time came out and said he would not support Greenwood moving to the club. But do you
think this is a big loss for Manchester United with the way that they've put an age cap for the transfers?
Yes, I mean, Mason Greenwood is a spectacular talent. I mean, we saw him coming through. He was one of the best young talents in the English Premier League. We saw him in his first full season.
We have to do that in a few seconds.
Yeah, at Manchester United. So I think it will be a big loss for United, given how they also have a lack of bodies in terms of forward at the club side.
All right, there's been an interesting conversation with you, Oladunni Bankole, sport analyst, and you, of course, been able to hear him spit out a lot of interesting words there concerning sport. Thank you so much for joining me on the game today.